first question is, can you explain the value of reading your manuscript aloud? And at what point in the editing process would you recommend doing that? What if you have speech disabilities? So for those of you who have taken Before You Hit Send is my editing and writing course that you can look up on my website if you'd like. And Before You Hit Send, I have an entire lesson about this because I am a firm believer. But let me release you from a little bit of worry. It's not about reading your manuscript aloud. It's having the manuscript read aloud to you. So I know that the advice used to be to read your manuscript aloud, but what I found is when authors read their manuscript aloud, they are still inserting or hearing what they thought they wrote. But when you allow a computer program to read to you, it takes you outside of what you wrote. It takes you outside of looking at the manuscript and looking at the paper, forces you to listen. It's essentially a different medium. And in that way, you can almost remove yourself from the situation, from the equation, give yourself a distance, a barrier, and then you are listening to your manuscript. Now, listening to your manuscript is of tremendous value. And it is one of the top pieces of editing advice that I give to everybody. When they are stuck, I almost always ask, have you listened to it yet? And the answer is often no. Listening to it allows you, again, to gain this distance, hear what's actually on the paper rather than what you thought you wrote. It allows you to hear where things are missing. It allows you to hear where there's slow pacing, where your narrative is underwritten, where things are overwritten. In sense, it gives you a clearer view of what you have written. It also does things like show you just like where you've got wrong words and misused the wrong word, or have a misspelling, or forgotten words, or inserted extra words, or overused words. But I think that the greatest ability that listening to it gives to you is just that distance. And because the computer voice is robotic and doesn't have the inflection that you might give it when you're reading, it doesn't imbue emotion into it. The computer just reads what's there. It really allows you to just be distant from it and to say, this is how the reader is going to engage with it, not how I engage with it. So I do think it's a very valuable tool in your editing arsenal. Absolutely recommend it for anywhere that you're stuck. Try it at the beginning, try it during a conflict, try it during the sex scene, try it during the end. Like, listen to different pieces. And one thing that I always recommend is to listen to something that you love, like a scene that you really love. So you get a sense of the flow of your writing and what's really working, so that when you're listening to the trouble spots, you have almost a compare and contrast. So that was a great question. Thanks for submitting it. And hopefully that helps a little bit.